on a Wednesday. It's been nice for me to have a nice long break. I'm very rested. Did you have a nice Easter?
I did.
Good.
I did.
Yes,
Yep.
it was lovely.
Yep.
Now, it's St George's Day, of course, and
A lot of people won't know it, sadly,
you're so right.
because it's not taught in school.
My kids didn't know about it. It's not taught in school. Why? Why is this? Why do we have such a problem with English identity?
Exactly. But the point about the dragon is, the dragon story was added 500 years after he was canonised as a saint.
Don't worry. Trust God and the dragon won't kill you.
Yeah.
And he was right.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it's story hour, okay? This is myth, it is legend, but it is also about our identity.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, wherever you are listening from around the world. You are tuned in to the Mr. Freemason live stream for yet another live stream here on a Thursday evening today. Today is the 24th of April 2025. I'd like to welcome you all to the show. I'll just wait for a couple of minutes for a few other people to join us, and we will get started. So we have one person already. It's one of our regulars, Wiz. Thanks for joining us. I hope you're doing well. Have you read much more on the book and learnt and discovered anything else? Today we will be going through the 23rd of April, St George's Day, Knights Templar, William Shakespeare, and also Pope Francis. So, it's been quite a busy week so far. As I did say on the live stream, that was only on Monday, I believe. We covered Easter. There was a couple of other things that I forgot to mention on that stream with regards to Easter. So Easter is actually a ritual as well for these people. It's to do with sex rituals, which is why it's to do with fertility. And these rituals are carried out so that they can bear children that are born on a certain date, which is the 25th of December, which is when one of their people that they worship passed away, and nothing to do with the birth of Christ. So if you're new here at the channel, we like to cover numerology, astrology. We cover crime, we cover news, we cover worldwide catastrophes, events, rituals, Freemasonry, and numerology, astrology. So the numbers, as always, are number 3, number 6, number 9, number 11, number 13, number 19, number 22, number 23, and last of all, 33. These are the numbers that we tell you to look out for on a regular basis. And these are the numbers that we mainly use to decode the matrix around us. So with it being the 23rd of April yesterday, it was St George's Day, as most of you will know. Not many people know the actual story and background behind St George. We're actually told one version of a story when the truth is actually something else. It's quite surprising as well that, bearing in mind over the years and decades, that St George and the story is not actually told at school. So, like I said, we'll be covering St George's Day and telling you the real meaning and the truth behind it, who St George actually really was, and how he became a martyr. We're told that he was a martyr for England. I suppose he was in a sense, but not a martyr for us everyday people. He was a martyr for their people, which we'll explain a bit more, and you'll understand as we look in a video which digresses and dissects the story of St George a bit more, and also his links and ties to the Knights Templar. The Matrix is a funny old world. I'll give you a couple of examples that I've experienced myself, and these are ones of late. So sometimes you might have woke up, you're doing something in the morning, or you're just going about your daily tasks, and you'll be humming or singing a song, only to then get in the car or maybe go into a shop, and you'll hear the same song that you've been humming. I kind of had this on yesterday morning, when it was the 23rd of April, because I sat there and I thought the 23rd. So 2 and 3 obviously equals the number 5, which is the number of travel. But I thought there's a little bit more to it. As you know, here we like to kind of relate numbers to the alphabet, as well as words and sentences, how they match up with the exact same number of letters. So I'll kind of touch on that a bit further on later on in the stream, and I'll bring up some other examples that I've noticed, not just with myself, but even people in the news who've mentioned they've had strange things happen. So we have Wiz with us. If there's anybody else with us, if you want to drop down in the chat section, let us know where you're all listening from. We'll do a roll call and just see where everyone's from. We've got quite a wide variety of audience these days. From what YouTube analytics tell us, we've got quite a few people across Europe. Some are in India as well, which is quite strange because I haven't done any videos in Indian. But I do know that the Indian culture are very much into numerology and certainly astrology. So that's probably why. Right, so without any further hesitation, we'll jump straight into the video and get into today's live stream. So yesterday was the 23rd of April 2025. It was St. George's Day in the UK. Many people will be under the understanding that the England flag represents St. George. It does kind of in a way, but the reason that we were given for how the England flag came about and for its purpose and use is we were told it was to do with ships. So that when ships docked in certain different countries, they knew where those ships were from, which is a bit of poor excuse really, but we will tell you where the real reason that the England flag comes from and why it's used. We will also digress on the Knights Templar and what actually happened to the Knights Templar. The story that we were all told is Friday the 13th, when the Knights Templar were rounded up by King Philip. They were rounded up and put on a stake in a pile and basically anguished, should we say, through fire. But that's not completely the whole truth, because some of the Knights Templars actually dispersed. Basically, they're given a choice and an opportunity that they'll either join the other side or they'd perish. Many of them that didn't want to join the other side actually escaped on boats. But I'll come into a bit more detail with regards to how that's linked with Knights Templar, boats and St. George's.
Because he was, as you say, an important symbol of Christianity, and he was literally a Christian.
But the point about the dragon is, the dragon story was added 500 years after he was canonized as a saint.
Story hour, okay? This is myth, it is legend, but it is also about our identity.
So with regards and reference to the dragon, in Vietnamese and Chinese astrology, on the animal chart, if most of you are aware of it, every animal that's on that chart actually exists. The one that's on there that we're told that doesn't exist as a mythological creature is the dragon. And we're also told that dragons were myth and kind of legend stories, so to speak. The truth about dragons is they were basically dinosaurs. So what you were told was a T-Rex. The arms of the T-Rex at the top actually go round the other way. They're actually wings. So there was no such thing as dinosaurs, but there were such things as dragons, which is where you get the T-Rex from, and which is why they've never found a whole complete set of dinosaur bones, but you can go to any museum in the world and find a whole dinosaur. So who were the Knights Templar? Well, the Knights Templar were basically a security for hire. They would be what you would call your modern day bouncers, so to speak, or door security firm these days. They were made up of bankers, teachers, skilled tradespeople, quite highly intellectual, very religious based. But we'll look a bit more at St. George, and see why he was made a martyr. But like they just said and told you, the story of the dragon was not actually added till several hundred years later. It'd be very interesting to know if the dragon was actually added to the story in a dragon year. That would be quite interesting. If anybody wants to try and find out, you're more than welcome to. It'd be very interesting to add to the show. So I'll just stop before I go any further. The Union Jack that you're showing in front of you, which is the flag for the UK, is a combination of the Scottish flag and the English flag. Some say it's also a combination of the Welsh flag, yet that doesn't have a dragon on it, which, yeah, again, here we have another dragon. So the Union Jack flag is made up of the Scottish flag and the English flag, and it also ties to the Knights Templar. The Knights Templar also used to lend money to royalty, to different organisations and fraternities. People didn't tend to mess with the Knights Templar. They were a force to be reckoned with. They were highly skilled in combat, and they were pretty fearless. They were actually hired for many battles and wars over the hundreds and hundreds of years. And then wars were actually won due to the Knights Templar. So if it wasn't for the Knights Templar, then battles and wars wouldn't have been won. So with regards to the English flag and the Scottish flag, the whole reason that it came about with regard to the Knights Templar and King Philip actually had the Knights Templar rounded up because he borrowed money from the Knights Templar and he couldn't pay the money back, which is why he then had the Knights Templar rounded up on Friday the 13th. And that is why you have two flags that overlap each other, because it's called double crossed. And that's exactly where the Union Jack comes from, because it ties to the Grand Master Lodges of Scotland and the Scottish Rite, and also the Grand Master Lodge in England. Just a couple more people have joined us. Hello to you as well. I take it your name's Joan Francis or John Francis. I don't know if I've pronounced that correctly, but if I haven't, then please correct me.
On a Wednesday, it's been nice for me to have a nice long break. I'm very rested. Did you have a nice Easter?
I did.
Good.
I did.
Yes,
Yep.
it was lovely.
Yep.
Now, it's St. George's Day, of course, and
A lot of people won't know it, sadly,
you're so right.
because it's not taught in school.
My kids didn't know about it. It's not taught in school. Why? Why is this? Why do we have such a problem with English identity?
Exactly.
Should we tell you who St. George, why St. George is our patron saint? How good is your history on this, Andrew Pearce?
He was born in Turkey.
Born in Turkey, there you go. That's very English, isn't it?
He was martyred for his Christianity.
Correct.
He was beheaded, and he was living in what would now be known as Israel.
Libya.
Israel.
He was in...
So I'll just stop there quickly. So, yeah, he lived apparently and worked for Israel. He was part of a fraternity and segment of the Knights Templar, who were hired by Israel to guard them while they transported backwards and forwards for worship.
Libya when he killed his dragon.
But the point about the dragon is the dragon story was added 500 years after he was canonized as a saint. So I think we can safely assume
Yes.
St. George and the Dragon is stuff of legend.
I think probably.
He's our patron saint because of his great sacrifice. He gave up his life for his faith, executed, beheaded. Not a good way to go.
He was also the first Knights Templar Freemason.
And there was a king, it goes back to...
King Edward III in the
That's right.
14th century.
He created the Order of the Garter.
Now, you might have heard of the Order of the Garter, or that saying before. The Order of the Garter was referred to many, many times with regards to King Charles' coronation. They mentioned the Order of the Garter several times there. The Order of the Garter is also linked to the Maltese Brotherhood, which coincidentally enough also resembles the English flag.
So
And of course, the patron saint of the Order of the Garter is St. George,
Yeah.
which is why they always gather at St. George's Chapel at Windsor.
Yeah. So King Edward III,
Yeah.
exactly that, established the Order of the Garter, and it was a group of knights, and he made St. George the patron of this order because he was, as you say, an important symbol of Christianity, and he was literally a Christian martyr, because when he tried to kill his dragon, he said to the people of the village, "Don't worry, trust God and the dragon won't kill you."
Yeah.
And he was right.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it's
Yeah.
story hour, okay? This is myth, it is legend, but it is also about our identity.
But the dragon is actually on the symbols of the Order of the Garter with St. George.
Yeah, of course, but why don't we know this? What is it about Englishness? Is it guilt? Is it that we feel that this symbol of the flag, of our St. George's flag, has been demonised as...
Just to also mention, when he made reference to the dragon and the Order of the Garter, you will find the dragon on the shield that sits above courtrooms or at the back of a court, which is also joined by a unicorn, I believe, or a lion. I'm not 100% sure on that, but there is the dragon is obviously on there. It's also incorporated into the Romanian flag, I believe, as well, which was a yellow background with a black dragon on it.
Presenting the far right.
The First Crusade was one of the most sensational victories of the medieval era. Christian knights from Western Europe secured control of the Holy Land, including the sacred city of Jerusalem. But despite this triumph, travel through the Holy Land remained dangerous. After the Crusade, the bulk of the army returned to Europe. Fulcher of Chartres, a priest who decided to remain in the New Kingdom, records that only 300 knights and 300 foot soldiers made up the standing forces of Jerusalem in the year 1100. Christian pilgrims arriving by ship faced grave danger as they traveled to Jerusalem via roads infested with robbers and Bedouin raiders. It was during these perilous early days that Hugh of Payenne, a French knight, arrived as a pilgrim to the Holy Land. Hugh felt called by Christ to act as a protector to travelers. Hugh joined with another pious knight, Godfrey of Saint-Omer. Hugh and Godfrey gathered together a small band of knights and committed themselves to protecting pilgrims. Day in and day out, they braved the dangerous roads of Palestine, guarding travelers on their way to pray at the Holy Sepulchre of Christ. Hugh's brotherhood attracted the attention of the King of Jerusalem, Baldwin II. In 1120, King Baldwin formally endorsed Hugh's mission, granting him as a headquarters a portion of the Temple of Solomon in Jerusalem. The Templars gained an even more prestigious patron when they received the endorsement of Saint Bernard of Clairvaux. "Go forth confidently then, you knights," wrote Bernard, "and repel the foes of the cross of Christ with a stalwart heart." Bernard's endorsement caused the fame of the Templars to spread. Their mission inspired kings and nobles across Christendom, and donations poured in. Before long, Templar houses were found all across Western Europe. Armored Templars, clad in white tunics, emblazoned with a red cross, became important members of the military establishments in Spain and in the Crusader states. Their mission in the Kingdom of Jerusalem expanded dramatically, as they were granted strategic castles and territories to safeguard. For the Templars had developed an iron discipline that made them the finest army of their era. The Templars lived like monks, praying and working according to a strict routine, but in addition, they included rigorous military training and organization. Over the course of the Crusades, the Templars were frequently on the front lines. They were with King Baldwin the Leper in 1177 when he crushed Saladin at Montgisard. They were at the Horns of Hattin in 1187 when Saladin defeated a Crusader army. They were with Richard the Lionheart in 1191 when he smashed Saladin's troops at Arsuf. They were at Las Navas de Tolosa in 1212 when the kings of Spain annihilated the Almohads of Morocco. As they expanded, the Templars developed a sophisticated financial operation to help pilgrims. The financial competence of the Templars prompted many kings and lords to request their services as money managers. One such king was Philip IV of France, who in the early 14th century borrowed liberally from the Templars. Loath to repay what he owed, the king concocted a series of false charges against the Templars, accusing them of heresy, sexual impropriety, and witchcraft. Historians today are in wide agreement that Philip's charges were fraudulent. Philip's agents arrested the French Templars, some of whom confessed to the charges while being brutally tortured. But among those who would not confess was Jacques of Malai, the Templar Grand Master. King Philip had Jacques and other Templars burned at the stake. From the flames, the last Grand Master called God's vengeance down upon the French king. Because of the power of the French monarchy at the time, Philip was able to pressure Pope Clement V into dismantling the Templar Order in 1312. Even in Philip's own kingdom, most people were horrified by what the king had done to the Templars, still widely regarded as heroes of the Crusades. Many saw God's justice in Philip's agonizing death after a hunting accident in 1314. Today, a plethora of sensationalist legends have developed around the Templars. Some believe they were magicians or heretics, while others believe they became Freemasons. Although such ideas have been liberally employed by novelists and filmmakers, as well as conspiracy theorists, none of it is supported by the historical record. The reality is that the Templars were an order of brother knights dedicated to Jesus Christ, the Church, and the cause of the Crusades.
Okay. So in that video, I don't know if you noticed, but the Knights Templar were carrying shields. Them shields were a cross-section, a mixture between black and white, which is where also the duality and the black and white checkered floorboard comes from with regards to Freemasonry. So that's just something else to point out. If you missed that, you're more than welcome to go back and watch the video again, and you'll see what I meant by the black and white shield. So most of the Templars did escape, the ones that didn't join Freemasonry, so to speak. They escaped on ships, and that is why you will find that the skull and bones that you've seen before, as in pirate ships, is what the Freemasons used that escaped. The Knights Templar that escaped used the pirate ship flag, which is why you will see that on many secret societies. The Skull and Bones Association in Yale, they use the skull and bones. It's exactly the same as what the pirates used, and then pirates were actually Knights Templars that had escaped, which is why the pirate ships used to dock in the same docks, and they would never fight or battle each other because they actually belonged to the same side. So it's just an interesting fact for you with regards to Freemasonry and pirates and Knights Templar. So the reason that King St. George was a martyr for the Templars wasn't for our people, which is quite clear to see, which is why we aren't taught this in school, and people aren't very clear on the story behind St. George or who he was or what he accomplished. But hopefully that small snippet of that video clip I've just showed you will hopefully clarify a few things for you. So he was also a royal commander. St. George was, like I said, who defended Israel. The Union Jack, as I've already mentioned, is a cross between the Scottish flag and the English flag. So with it being the 23rd of April and applying it to the alphabet, I knew that the 23rd letter of the alphabet is W, but I wasn't too sure how this sort of coincided with the Knights Templar and St. George until about 3 minutes after watching the TV, while I thought this, that something came on the TV surrounding the letter W. This is why I said before at the beginning of the live stream, have you ever had an example or a situation where you've been singing a song or humming a song, and then you walk into a shop and then you hear that song playing, or you get in your car and it comes on the radio. The example I was trying to find, pardon me, the example I was trying to find that I also saw this morning was a news reporter who was speaking about certain weird situations and how the universe is quite magical. He gave an example of how he was on the London Underground about 10 years ago, and he was sat opposite the lead singer of the Manic Street Preachers on the same tube. And 2 seats in front of him was a girl with headphones on, and he could hear the music playing. And the music that was playing was the Manic Street Preachers. Because he said he was baffled. He couldn't believe it. He said, you couldn't have even made it up. So it doesn't just happen to myself or yourself. The Matrix does show itself to people in different ways. We will move on shortly to Pope Francis. But like I said, with regards to the letter W, and it being the 23rd of April, we will see how that coincides and connects in numerology astrology. No, you're not too late to the party, Melanie.
Thank you, Ben. You can probably see behind me this huge cross of St George, this England flag on the Nottingham Council House, proudly hung up here now really for about the past week, always put up every year to celebrate St George's Day by Nottingham City Council, calling it an iconic site. And lots of people we've spoken to this morning proud that Nottingham, their city, is home to this 60-foot wide, 26-foot tall flag. Now, the flag itself was adopted as the English flag, we think, around the 12th century, 11th century, and ever since it's been synonymous with England, with our history, with our culture as well. St George, one of those 14 holy helpers back in the Middle Ages, thought to try and protect English people from epidemic diseases, but also in the likes of the Crusades, thought to protect the soldiers as well.
So Shakespeare Day, St George's Day, all today. Where would you rather be other than GB News?
So, the 23rd of April, the 23rd letter of the alphabet is W. The 23rd of April is William Shakespeare's birthday. William Shakespeare also died on the 23rd of April, which is even more strange. There were other references as well to the letter W. So there was news that the Pope Francis's funeral will be held at the weekend. The news that was also given out yesterday on the 23rd letter of the alphabet being W, is that Prince William will be attending along with worldwide leaders. The word used yesterday as well was wonderful, which I found quite strange, because it being the other day was the 21st of April, and 2 and 1 equals 3. The third letter being C. Pope Francis was described as having courage. So on certain days where them letters match up to the numbers in the alphabet, you'll find that them words will be said more often on them days than any other days. The other words that came out yesterday were, went. You're obviously your usual words that you would use, but just more emphasised than usual, so to speak. So William Shakespeare, we are told, is a famous novelist and writer. Not many people will probably know this information, but the same as Charles Dickens. These two people never actually existed. They're fictitious characters. It'd be very interesting to know who did write the stuff, because it was obviously quite talented, and for its time it was very talented. But Prince William and Charles Dickens never existed, sad to say. Which is probably why they gave the 23rd of April as his birth, as well as his death. He was born in 1564. When you take his birthday and you add it up all together, it gives you a number 7 of the number of the genius. Maybe that's because he didn't exist. and his passing was given as 1616. So I'll move on, and we will come to Pope Francis shortly. No way, I can't believe council declared bankrupt so they can't afford St. George celebrations. What is this country coming to? So Pope Francis, his funeral will be held on Saturday this weekend. Why Saturday, you might ask, rather than Sunday? Well, Saturday is the day that these people worship. The first day of the week actually was originally Sunday, and Saturday was the day of worship, not Sunday. It got changed to Sunday when the calendar changed to the Gregorian calendar by Pope Gregory, I believe, to match in with pagan holidays. So it will be held on Saturday. The reason it's being held on Saturday is because Saturday is the day of Saturn and sun worship, which is what these people worship, the sun. Also known as the light. This is why you will find everyone will be wearing black on Saturday, because although it is a funeral, black also represents the planet Saturn, or the cube of Saturn, which is why you find a black cube in Jerusalem. There's also one in America. There's also one in England, I believe, somewhere. I'm not too sure where that is, though. That's why you get companies such as BlackRock. The black cube is also represented by religion and Christianity, because if you take the cross, it's actually an unfolded box. So you'll find all religions kind of go back to sun worship and to the planet Saturn, and also the colour black. Now, the Pope, we were told, passed away at 88. We know in numerology that 8 is the number of money. It's also the number of karma. It's also the number of religion. This can be proven by last year was 2024. 2 plus 2 plus the 4 equals 8, which gives us an 8 year of money, karma, and religion. Brittany, I'm trying to think what her last name is. She was a quite well-known, I believe she was an OnlyFans star, and in the same industry as Mia Khalifa. These two women were described as harlotans, so to speak, because of the industry that they were in. But last year they decided to give it all up and convert to Islam, both of them in the same year. Also, you had Andrew Tate converted to Islam last year. So number 8 is revolved around not just money and karma, but also religion, which is why the Pope passed at 88. He's also been having his funeral on Saturday, which is the 26th, and 2 plus 6 equals 8. If you want more further proof of how 8 relates to money, you have a website called 888 or bet888.com. Most people will think that number 7 is the number of money. It's not. Number 7 is the number of the genius, which is why when you go to casinos, they tell you that it's lucky number 7, because it's not lucky number 7 for you, but it is for the casino owner. So 7 has nothing to do with luck or money, but number 8 does. So does anybody else have any questions? Shout out to Zenman10. No, you're right. It does represent Dagon, the fish god, which is why he's got the open hat or fish mouth hat that sits on his head. Yes. And if you know about Dagon or the fish god, you'll know that that's not to do with Christianity. That actually comes out of the book of King Solomon, which is not Christianity religion. It's the same religion as what these people follow. even the Pope, because we know he was not a Christian Pope originally. He was put in a position of a Christian Pope, but he was a Jesuit Pope, along with the two other popes who they don't tell you about. Yeah, no, don't worry. I read Dragon at first as well. I didn't really correctly whiz either, so don't worry, you're not the only one. Melanie says, is the age at your death significant? I wouldn't say. Okay, so with regards to the Pope Francis, you would have been told, I mentioned this in the last stream, so if you haven't managed to watch it, then go and have a glimpse of it and you'll kind of see what I mean when I say this. But King Charles and Queen Camilla went to go and visit the Pope when he was in hospital about a week and a half, nearly 2 weeks now it's getting on for, and they were dressed in black. The last time that anybody was dressed in black like that was the day that the Queen's passing was announced. Even that, I believe, as well, was a few days before, if not the day before, because I was actually at one of my friend's house when the news broke at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And before it came out, when they said the Queen was not feeling very well, I actually said to them that she's already gone. And they said, how's that? How do you know? And I said, well, look at all the news reporters and all the channels. They're all wearing black. Now, unless they knew that she'd already passed, how on earth did they all turn up in black? Because there was no way that they could have turned up in black afterwards. They had to know beforehand to obviously go to work dressed in black clothing. So yeah, you'll get little signs like that, things like that. When someone of significance passes who's important, you'll see that they're wearing black. This was the same as I believe the Queen actually it was the day of the announcement of the King's cancer, because they were both, Camilla and Charles were both wearing black then. And if you go back, I believe it was on the 6th of May. You'll have to go back and have a look. Don't please quote me on it, because I'll have to remember so many numbers in my head of dates, years and times. But yeah, I'm sure it was the announcement of the King's cancer. They were dressed in black, and they'd actually come out. I can't remember. You'd have to go back and check. But the morning that the morning of the day of the Queen's passing, the news reporters were already dressed in black before the news came out. So there's just a sign that things go on behind the scenes before we're actually told. This is so they can make arrangements and stuff like that before the public are told. Also, with regards to the number 23, it's a handover of responsibility or initiation into Freemasonry. And I'll kind of break this down and give you a few examples so you can kind of see for yourself. So with the example of the Joe Slater case that happened in the UK, with regards to the Nicola Bulley case, in the UK, in Lancashire, the woman, the dog walker who went missing in the river, we were told. And the day after they found Nicola Bulley's body, but the day before there was a newspaper front page to do with Nicola Bulley that they found a blue glove. The blue is the same colour as the blue that's on Freemason flag, so they have blue and gold. So it was the same colour as a royal blue, like a light royal blue. The glove signifies a passing over of responsibility. There was 23 on the back of the bench when Nicola Bulley disappeared. She was also found 23 days later. Joe Slater case, the lad that disappeared in Tenerife, the number 23 was in there as well. I believe it was June the 23rd. He might have gone missing, or the Joe Slater song came out. One of the two, but I know that 23 was definitely in there. So yeah, 23 is about kind of initiation into the society and basically an induction. Another example of this is Michael Jordan wore the number 23. Shane Ward, the famous cricketer, wore number 23, and even David Beckham wore the number 23. So the 23, like I said at the beginning with regards to the numbers, 3, 6, 9, 11, 19, 22, 23, and 33. That's why the significance of the number is so important. That's why they will tell you that the number is more important than the man, which is why Jesus Christ passed at 33, because the number is more important than the person. What do I think about them messing with the sun? Strange you say that, Wiz. I've just finished a video this evening. I'm hoping to put out after this. It's going on the other channel, which I've just covered all that with regards to the sun and the information in there. What do you say? There's not really much we can do. There's not anything we could kind of do to stop it, really. But I will say this, because I've seen a lot of my friends on social media who've been posting a lot of pictures, more from south, to be honest with you, more Essex, London way, where they're just absolutely getting bombarded with chemtrails in the sky. Like, I don't obviously know what part of the country you're from, and you don't need to tell me on here. But just as an example, yeah, I saw the pictures. It was absolutely disgraceful. But this kind of bust the myth, so to speak. So when people get ill and sick and they say, oh, there's a bug going round, there isn't a bug going round. It's you're breathing all in the same stuff that's falling down out of the sky. And the stuff that's in them materials is certainly not good for your health. It involves things such as microplastics and metals. So, yeah, not good. But I think we all kind of really knew what was going on with that situation. The fact that the government have now confirmed it. Well, they haven't even confirmed that they've been doing it. What they've actually confirmed is that they're going to start to do it. So I suppose that's one way of covering yourself, isn't it, so to speak? But yeah, wow, I don't really know what to say to that, but no, I haven't seen Watchman's End, man. Is it a good film? Is it interesting? Oh, Trump resembles a character, does he? You know what? It's funny you say that, because I thought the other day I was thinking about Donald Trump's uncle, who was the one that seized the Tesla patent papers with regards to time travel, and how they were saying that Donald Trump is actually Biff Tannen from Back to the Future, because there was Trump Towers, Tannen Towers. He went back to the future. He changed the future by making lots of money. He came back as a rich businessman. They've both got blonde hair, swept. Yeah, the resemblance with regards to the details in that. I mean, there's loads of references in Back to the Future as well. The first one, you had the time at the car park when Marty McFly turns up to meet Doc, and it says 9/11. So if you haven't seen that, yeah, there's the time on there already as well with regards to 9/11 attacks. Yeah, I think I agree with you, Wiz, there as well. I think he passed away quite a while before this. They had to have somebody to kind of keep this going, just to get Easter out the way. It's very ironic and coincidental that he passed literally just as he got his Easter speech out the way, and that you had J.D. Vance go to meet him, or J.D. Vance, who met the Pope the day before. Whether there's anything in that or not, I mean, I don't think he's responsible for the passing of the Pope, if that's what you're going to ask me. Whether he was involved with the role, so to speak, after the passing that then led up to the speech of Easter. So if you can kind of follow what I'm saying here, that the Pope virtually passed the other week, and then they've got someone to stand in. And they've done this sort of stuff before. They're always getting them to stand on a balcony miles away so nobody can actually see them close up. They did the same with the Queen, if you remember. She was in the biggest hat that she could have wore, and she had sunglasses on. Like, when have you ever seen the Queen walking around with sunglasses? She doesn't tend to. She tends to make eye contact because she tends to see people face to face. So I even thought that was very strange. And also the behaviour of Prince Louis. Because although you can lie to the public and to adults, you can't always lie to the children. They will give you away. But yeah, Prince Louis is acting up. They kept Prince Louis, if you notice, they kept Prince Louis as far away from the Queen on the balcony that day. The other children were nearer, and I think Prince William was stood next to the Queen. But yeah, they kept Prince Louis, the youngest, as far away from the Queen as possible. I wonder why. There's a short video that I'm going to try and drop. I will drop it tomorrow. I won't promise to do it this evening because I can't guarantee and commit that. So I will drop it tomorrow, and it's to do with the Pope and what we said and discussed with regards to roles. It's not unfamiliar to people. Sorry, it's not unfamiliar for people to play more than one role. These are called royal actors, which is why they wear the colour purple, which is why you were taught at school in English literature about the colour purple, which is why Prince released the song Purple Rain, and also Jimi Hendrix, Purple Haze. Purple is also the colour you get, I believe, when you cross light blue with pink. So it's also the colour that you get when you cross the genders, which is also what we covered in the last live stream over regarding Easter and the first transgender person who was Lucifer. So if you haven't seen that, go back and have a look. It's a really interesting live, that one. Yeah, I see your comments, Ed man, what you're saying. I don't know if I can put that up though with regards to the old COV 19. I don't really know what the situation is on YouTube with them these days. I know obviously you couldn't say anything with regards to that. There's a lot of people who got shut down and binned off. I don't know what the restrictions are with it. To be honest with you, I did hear something a while ago where they was going to start lifting certain restrictions and stuff like that now, but I'd have to double check that. Yeah, they do. Sorry, they do play different roles. There's the one that's been circulating on the internet with Will Smith dressed in a skin suit, playing the role of another black guy in a TV series. His voice gives him away, and the fact that you can see that the eye holes around the mask don't sit snugly and flush with his own face. Yeah, there's also another one actually. It's quite interesting you said that with regards to the same roles. What's his name? I believe his name might be Uncle Buck. No, Uncle Buck or something like that. He's on TikTok, I think, or he might even be on Instagram. I'm not 100% sure. I know it's one of them two social media platforms. And he sounds like, he looks like, and he has the same mole marks as Robin Williams. He even does an impression of Robin Williams because he says that so many people said that he looks like him and he sounds like him without putting the voice on. And yeah, just go watch it for yourself. If you get a chance, I think it might even be on YouTube. Type it in, Robin Williams, the comedian that passed away. Yeah, Uncle something. So if you just put in Robin Williams, aka Uncle, and then you'll see it comes up as a guy with a moustache, sunglasses, and like a I can't remember what they're called now. It's not a bowler hat, but something like that. But yeah, it is quite interesting. It's well known for them to do that. I'll give you like even the character. Here's an example, okay, and this isn't even physical people as such. So The Simpsons is just an example. So you'll have there's probably only about four different people I think on there, and they do all the different voices, and you'd never know. If it wasn't for the fact that you were told that they do all the voices, you would never know it was only down to about 4 people. So that's just an example of how it's all smoke and mirrors sometimes. The whole world is a stage. And who said that? William Shakespeare, funnily enough. So if you've got any other questions, people, feel free to drop them down in the chat. I am going to wrap the stream up slightly in a minute. And I've got a few other videos to get finished off and get out. So like I said, one is the confirmation by the government that they'll be running geoengineering to manipulate the weather, which I'm sure Ed Miliband will be really pleased about, because he didn't look too pleased when they said that they were going to be opening the coal factory and keeping the coal furnaces burning. But how do you expect to reach net zero? I do not know, because what are the plants and the trees going to breathe in? So I don't think he's really thought that one through. So as always, thank you very, very much to all of you for joining me for yet another stream. You've been an awesome audience as always. If you haven't already, you can grab yourself a copy of Breaking the Matrix Numerology Astrology, which is out now on Amazon, which we cover everything in the live streams. We cover the numbers. We also cover parts of Freemasonry. You can also work out your animal and your energy year, who you work best with, who would be best to work in business with, and who to avoid. So you can go and grab yourself a copy of that. There's also the app, which is nearly, literally the last thread. If you haven't received the link, I have been given a link, so I will be sending it out again just in case you haven't got that. If you'd like to be part of it, you're more than welcome to just send us your... all you have to do is the email that you would use for a Google store. That is the only detail that I'd need. I will add you to the list and you will get a link sent out to you, and you will be the first people to try the first numerology astrology app. It'll be available on Apple and Google. I believe it might even be available on Apple already. But if not, then it's literally probably a couple of hours to a few days off. If you do want to be part of it, I'll drop the email address in the chat section. Make sure I've got that right before I send it. Don't end up giving you the wrong details. Yeah, we're good. Okay, so there's the email address. The only detail I've said like I need is just the Google email that you'd use for the Google store. This is only so when the link's sent to you, it obviously connects to Google Store. You won't be charged anything at all. It's not linked up to any sort of revenue catcher or properly live as such. This is just for the last pieces of the test to be done and completed. They're quite strict on restrictions with regards to Google these days, because they've just removed certain apps last month, which they found had bugs and weren't working properly, which is why they've do more extensive tests now, which is quite a good thing in a way, really, I suppose, because it keeps illegitimate sort of apps or people doing stuff like that, which is you don't need. So yeah, so if you want to be part of that, there's quite a few people. I think I've got 20 in a minute as well, but I think I only need 1 or 2 more. It's only because it's just asking for more data to feedback. So you'll get 5 free premium goes. It won't cost you anything. If it does ask you to subscribe in any way, like I've said, it's not actually live, so it won't capture anything or take any kind of revenue. You'll get 5 free premium goes, so you can do it for yourself, your friends, your family. You can kind of become the numerology astrology wizard with this at your fingertips, and it's available 24 hours a day, and you don't have to pay extortionate fees. You know, you don't have to wait. It's kind of basically at your fingertips 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So you can actually become the numerology astrology expert. So on that note, thank you very much for all joining me. You've been absolutely awesome. I've been Mr. Freemason. Take care of yourself. I'm out of here.